And I guess what happens when we hit that cap of, I know the way Bitcoin works is people mine for the coins, but then we get closer, what is it, 21 million coins are available. And then as we get closer, it gets harder and harder and harder to mine for the Bitcoin. So what happens when we hit that cap of 21 million? Or how long do you think it will take for us to get to that point of hitting that cap of 21 million? Because I think right now we're at what, 8 million coins, I think? Maybe?
No. It's 18 and a half. So
18 and a half.
we're pretty close to the end in that sense. So let me just describe mining in case your audience is not familiar with it. All right. So with gold, if you're mining for gold, what you do is you dig up ground, and you get a lot of dirt and rock out of that ground, and then you process it. And then you find gold in it. I'm told that in a commercial mining operation for gold, you need to process around 20 to 30 tons of dirt and rock to find 1 ounce of gold. So that's how much dirt you have to dig up in order to do it. I could try to like dig for gold in my backyard, right? If I own my house, but that's not really going to get me much, because unless I live over a gold mine, first of all, it's not likely to succeed. And even if I did, like to get 20 or 30 tons is going to take a really long time. So it's not going to be very efficient, which is why, gold miners are experts at that sort of thing. So they get lots of equipment and, chemicals and things like that to make the process much faster and easier. But that's how commercial gold mining works. Bitcoin mining is kind of similar, but instead of dirt and rock, what you have to process are a lot of different numbers. So you do 1 number, 2 number, and just to give you the idea of scale on this sort of thing. An Antminer S19, this is a commercial mining machine that comes out of Bitmain from China. One of those things does something around 18 terahashes per second. So that is a hash you can think of as a number. So terahash is trillion hashes. So 18 trillion numbers per second. And this is just one machine. So they process lots and lots of them. And every 10 minutes, one satisfying number gets found. That's roughly how that works. And as a reward, you get something called, you get 2 things as a miner. You get mining reward and the fees. And those are 2 separate things, and it's very important to know what both of them are. So the mining reward is how Bitcoin comes into existence. So at the very beginning, Satoshi made it so that it was 50 Bitcoins per block. And then 4 years later, it became 25 Bitcoins per block. 4 years later, it became 12 and a half Bitcoins per block. And then currently it's 6.25 Bitcoins per block. And if you notice, it's exactly that, each time is exactly the half of the previous one. And if you are sort of familiar with infinite sums and algebra, it ends up summing to 100 basically. Every 4-year period is 210,000 blocks. So 210,000 times 100 is 21 million. That's how you get 21 million. So 210,000 times 10 minutes is like 2.1 million minutes. That's almost exactly 4 years, which is why I say 4 years, and that's sort of the halving schedule or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, math aside, that's essentially how much the miner gets rewarded for finding that block or for finding that number that satisfies this particular thing. And once they do, they get rewarded with that currently 6.25 Bitcoins, which at $40,000 is like $250,000, right? Yeah. So they get $250,000, but again, this is a lot of money that they're spending in order for these machines and everything else in order to go find it. And they don't find every block; they find like every 1,000th block or something like that. So they get that. And then they also get fees, and these are transactions. So if I'm sending you Bitcoin, I would have to include within it some fee for the miner, so that the miner is incentivized to keep include it into sort of the Bitcoin ledger. Yeah. And when they do, they get to keep that fee. And the fees right now, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's like over 1 Bitcoin per block. So they're getting paid a decent amount, right? Like they're getting paid $40,000, $50,000. Yeah. Eventually, the fees will be greater than the miner reward. And I think that'll happen in about 2 more halvings, or 8 years from now, roughly. It'll be like 1.6 or something like that. And at that point, fees will be more, and that's what they will live on. So when you're asking, okay, after 21 million, all 21 million Bitcoin have been mined, how are the miners going to make a living, or what incentivizes them to keep mining? It's the fees. It's it's whatever is on chain they get to keep as part of including in the blockchain. The service that they're performing for the Bitcoin community is including these transactions and blocks. They're getting paid for it, and that will continue forever. So that's the idea.
Okay. So once all the Bitcoin is mined. Oh, and just for everybody, Satoshi is the creator of Bitcoin. He started off, he developed the program and helped everybody understand how to do it and all that good stuff. But once all the 21 million Bitcoins are mined, all that will be happening at that point is just transactions. And the miners will facilitate ensuring that the blockchain is clear, or facilitate the movement of the Bitcoin to be able to become like a transactory phase of money spending and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the case for a while, right? Like that's been one of their functions, but the other function is bringing more Bitcoins into existence.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that we're right around 18.5 million. So we only have like 2.5 million more Bitcoin to go.
Yeah.
Like for the rest of it. And it doesn't end until 2140. So we got like more than 120, like we got like 120 years of Bitcoin subsidies, but it gets smaller and smaller
as we go forward.
But the fees are going to, presumably, at least in dollar terms, will at least stay the same or increase probably. I mean, like, I didn't think we would be at 40,000 Bitcoin right now, but, we are. So that means that fees are, a substantial part of miner revenue at this point.
Yeah. So what exactly has fueled this meteoric rise that we've seen in the last, I'll say 30 days, really? I mean, last year Bitcoin was steadily climbing, but then it seems like in the last, maybe a month to 2 months, it's just all of a sudden taken off out of the atmosphere to unbelievable heights that we did not expect to see. So what exactly do you think fueled that rise in Bitcoin price?
Yeah, so there's a really good theory by...
I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.